Hello, who's the host with me today? Avinash, you're there with us? Avinash, can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Dr. Chitan?
Yes, I can. I'm not able to
Finally
see
got
you.
it started. I'm fine. How are you, Dr. Chitan?
Very, very fine. I'm not able to see you or see you, so can you keep your video on?
Where's the video? Should be coming on. Just lost you for a minute. Open Zoom. Hello, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, no, I can't see you. I can only hear you. Your video is not on. Yes. Now I
Okay.
can. Okay.
I think we were having problems yesterday as well.
I understand that. That's what I was waiting, and no, then I realized.
Apologize for that. Funny enough, it started, I think, before the meeting, and it was so saying you in, and then I don't know what happened. It just totally went.
No, I had a similar problem before that. Before you, I had another guest, and I just started, and I introduced her, and the line went off. And by the time I could join back, half the session was already over. So
apologies for that.
This is the first time we are all doing it, and at such a large scale that these smaller hiccups we didn't anticipate, and we didn't know how to handle these things. So
that's right. But when it's bigger like this, I think because this is why we had our Singapore Lions Convention happening as well, and it kept on going in and out. And you know, I mean, being a typical woman, I mean, I have like so many things to do. I'm a grandmother as well. And that day, I was trying to sort things because the next day I was going to go babysit. And the funny thing was that I had facing it so I could see if it comes on, and I did realize that while I'm doing it, I'm cutting my sabji as well. It was a bit embarrassing because
mother.
And I had calls from my colleagues in, Poland and, Lithuania saying, and in the US and Canada saying, we got that little clip before you realize. And quickly.
I think we can never we can stop being a mother, right?
Yes.
No matter how old we get, we can never be. Because every time when my kids were very young, I said, look, by the time they are 2, I'll be okay. Then I said, okay, by the time they are 4, I'll be free. And I have teenagers today, and still I don't see anything getting over.
No. And wait, Dr. Chitan, when they're married and they have children, you will still treat them as children. You will still be trying to mother their kids. I do that, and I get told off.
I can relate to that. I can definitely. Okay, so before we get into this, let me formally welcome you. Good evening to all of you who has been who have joined us from India, and a very good afternoon to our very special guest, Avinash Bains, and a good day to others who have joined from other part of the world. Before I start chatting with Avinash, which looks very, very enticing and interesting for me, let me read out a little bit about her. Her list of achievements is exhaustive. That's to say the least. So I wouldn't be spending that much of time reading about everything, because we have just about 30 minutes and I don't want to waste any minute on anything other than just listening to her. Avinash is an incredibly amazing and courageous woman. She has brought up two of her kids on her own. She has helped migrant families in UK. She has fought for the cause of ethnic minorities. She has worked with children with dyslexia. She has done counseling for diabetics. She has started two ventures, Ishkama, which is a non-profit for to fight mental illness, Kia, a beauty salon. Okay, it doesn't get over here. There's a lot more there. She's a certified hypnotherapist. She's a Reiki master. She is a recipient of many, many awards. But I would stop here and I would directly go to Avinash and say, see, I think when we are in a Women Economic Forum, and I think I can take the liberty of saying that I'm asking this on behalf of most of the women, that as a woman with our responsibility in the house, taking care of our children, husband, and family, and then our job, whether it's a job or a business, and an unending list of to-do things in a day, we always feel that there's not enough time for me to do anything beyond this. And at the end of the day, we feel if only I had a couple of more hours a day, I probably could achieve more than that. But what I see here is like you have done so many things. It's like exhausting. How do you do that? Where does this energy come from? And where did it all start?
Okay.
From the beginning. We'd like to hear your story.
All right. Well, I was born in India, in Punjab. And my father came here when I was just over 3. Left behind a wife and 2 children, 2 daughters rather. And because my older sister, who was 10 years older than me, she was delicate type. And I was considered the fighter, So automatically, when my father came, he asked me, and I'm a 3-year-old, to say, look after your sister and look after your mother, and I will be. And that sense of responsibility kind of stayed in my mind for a long time. And while my father was here, my mother was expecting a baby, and she had a son. And as you know, in India, traditionally, people want son. But my mother had been told after my birth that she couldn't have any children. So it was a big thing. And unfortunately, I was very sick when I was ill. So that's one of the reasons my father came here, because he felt that, he provided he was a head teacher in India, and he got all the medical treatment, and finally the doctors gave up. And they said, we can't do anything. Pray, that's it. But as you can see, almost 60 years later, I'm still here. Right? And then my father went back when I was about nearly 7, and he brought me and my brother over. But in the meantime, my sister had been killed in a car, in a lorry accident, while attending a wedding function. So we came here, and we were one of the 8 ethnic minorities. In those days, Italians were considered ethnic minorities, and there was like 7 Asian families. So we learned to not only have our own culture, which taught us, like, we were brought up with seva, you do seva, we go to mandirs, masjids, gurdwaras. And that, I think, in a lot of us, we are forgetting that in the West now, that, the West is going back towards what we in India value. We value the earth. I remember when I was a child in India, nothing went to waste, So in the same reasons, here, time for us is the essence. All right. And because of that time essence, I learned to plan. You plan things properly. You delegate, you do what you can. And that's the reason I've been able to do everything, work full time. And unfortunately, I got married when I was 20. I lost my husband when I was 26. So there's a lot happening. So you needed to make sure that, you went to work, but you still had the housework to do. You still needed the children, to go to school and to do outside activities. Because sorry about that. I hope you're not hearing the phone. All right. And so so it's mainly, it's like planning, which is the reason we're talking about, how to get everything done. Like you mentioned, Dr. Chitta, how do we make sure that we have the time to do it? Well, for one thing, and I'm sure as a mother yourself, you get up extra early while the family is, and there isn't that me time for us half the time. We lose that, which is also very important, because to keep us grounded, we need to have that me time. With me, it was more, my parents were around and they helped, but they both worked full time as well. So we kind of helped each other. But the greatest thing is your friends. You're a sport group, you form a sport group. When I lost my husband, I worked full time for the civil service, for the employment service at that time. So it was like a hassle trying to send a member of staff to pick my daughters up, or have, leave at 3:30, pick them up and then bring them back to the office, sit them in one corner with their homework. And then I found one of my daughter's friends. We did a kind of, swap. She used to go to work from 6 to 10. So she picked up my kids, she takes them to her house. I pick them up there from 5:30, bring them back to my house and, give them dinner, help with their homework. And then she and her husband would pick them up. So it's all about working as a team. We learn about teamwork within organizations. Let me just switch this phone off. Would you mind?
Okay, no problem. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you hear the phone? Are you hearing Chitta? Okay, let me switch it off.
I can hear the phone.
Yeah, then I'll switch it off. I forgot, I thought I switched it off.
Pardon. No, absolutely no problem.
Apologies for that. And so it's everything working together, working and being focused on what you want. In any job I did, it was, you have to have the goal. You have to know where you're going. It's like when we say, most of us, like you said just a minute ago, that we always think there's not enough hours. And we don't actually believe we're successful. We as women sometimes let ourselves down because we think, oh no, we're not. The men never say that. My first was a group of men, very hard-headed men. And that's where I learned as well that we as women, the men will take a success, even if they haven't been successful at a job, they will never admit, oh, I haven't succeeded. Yeah. With us women, I don't know if it's in our DNA, but we always say, oh, I could have done better. I should have done
it. Somewhere, I think the guilt complex also come in and say that no matter how much we do, we keep feeling guilty that, maybe I should have put in more effort in the office, or I should have spent more time with my family or children. And that guilt feeling never leaves.
That's
you
it.
Always and that's what you're not done enough.
No, that's where we have to get it. Even now, I sometimes feel guilty if I miss my visit from my grandson, if I haven't seen him for a few weeks, and you have that guilt conscious, I should have seen him. But we all have, anyone to succeed, we have that passion. I look at it this way, that if we have the passion, purpose, patience, and we persist, we will succeed. Along my career line, I've been told so many times, well, you won't be able to do it. All right. Mm-hmm. Like when I opened up the Kia, which was very much a labor of love. I opened it up for my mother, and then I was dealing with these refugee women and single mothers, which are still promoted. And I knew one thing, and I'm sure you would agree with me, Dr. Chitta, that we as women, if we have £5 or 5 rupees, we're not going to spend it on ourselves. We will spend it on our family.
Yeah. We will spend it on our think about ourselves.
That's it. And most women are like that, I find. And why, and even I am like this, and I don't like to accept charity. So I tend to treat people the way I want to be treated, because you feel that pride, or I know that's going free, but if I, it's like, it's not fair. Somebody else might need that more than I do. Yes. So, but if it's reasonably priced, or you make it, okay, look, tit for tat, if you can do that, maybe, you can give me your service in return. So what I did is, when I opened it, my late father had died, and this woman, my mother, who was a typical Indian woman of the old age, not our generation or so on, who came from a village, was totally uneducated, didn't read and write her language either. She could push you to success. You know, she was the driving force. And I find the more educated people are, this is my personal experience, and the people have different, that the more educated you are, you look at the pros and cons too much. You know, you look,
yes,
will I succeed?
Totally.
Whereas, totally. That's it. Whereas somebody has got nowhere else, you know, they come up with that idea and they go through it. You know, they just jump in with both feet, sink or swim, you know. And my mother was that. And so many times my father, who's a very highly educated person, English, he spoke Urdu, read the Sanskrit. He would, you know, he spent days and years, should I do this or not? And then have, you know, like never, you know. Whereas my mother...
So the what if analysis kicks in, and then we keep doing this again and again and again.
That's it. And my mother, every time when I became a widow, it was like, oh, Mom, they gave me a chance promotion-wise with my civil service. My mother pushed me. All right, she went, go for it. My father, oh, Bete, you got 2 children under 5.
How will you manage? Yes.
You know, yeah. And, you know, people know you here, they respect you, but you go and take this. They're mostly, you know, mostly white people, and, you know, a different...
I can understand.
You know, and it's a high crime rate. You know, he was like, not scaring me, but you start having doubts.
Give all the things which can go wrong, and then it kind of paralyzes you. You can't think beyond that bit.
Yeah. And my mother just said, are you getting more money? I said, yes.
Yes.
She said, go
for it.
Don't worry about the children. She said, we will adjust. All right. And I went. And that was the start of my career in the civil service. And I did a lot of things as slowly first woman, and especially first Asian woman, and which meant it opens the doors for others. And then, unfortunately, as things would happen, I think sometimes, you know, I sometimes think God has a wicked sense of humor. Every time you reach a success and you think, I'm going to relax, he throws a spanner in your works. So in my case, it was like, good money, more money than I ever know. And now I can relax. And I get involved in a car accident, and I get a head injury. Means, as you know, with a head injury, it's difficult. I couldn't make out the words. You know, like I can see the A shape or B shape, but I don't know what it is. You know, so it took 4 years for them with 4 or 5 years of treatment. You know, and as well as a physical injury. And so it's one of those things that, you know, you plan, you push yourself. And so all I used to say, I was angry because you get depressed. I know we as Asians don't like to admit that we get depressed, you know, because especially as women, we are worried that we get labeled, our employers will, you know, not give us promotion or, you know, penalize in some ways. But I was saying to God, give me a sign. If you created this for me, now tell me. And I'm a great believer in prayer, in our positive thinking, you know, and that really God may have a sense of humor, like my late father used to say, God only gives burdens to those that can carry it.
So if he's giving that, you're capable of carrying that burden. That's why you got it.
And you know what? I still think, well, that's not fair. You know, I still think part of it. That's not fair. You know, I mean, that might be
just because I can do more work, you think dump me with more work. It's like
and then I mean, and I was praying because I could not read. I could not do what I was known for. Like I could and do speeches, and my bosses in the civil service used to say, and I thought it was an insult till I came home. Once I was doing a speech in front of all these CEOs of big companies, and I walked in and they introduced, and what I forgot, I did a face mask in the morning, you know, to make my skin, and I had my contact lens, and it was a face mask. I'm sure Dr. Chitan, you had a face mask, but it was called a clay. And the clay one, no matter, and I had just wiped it, and it kept on coming back. So I walk up to the stage, And I had washed my face and everything, but because I was in a hurry, I put the lipstick as I'm driving, and like as women do,
I can understand.
The hair, putting the lipstick as we were going for a meeting. I walked up the stage, and my colleague is telling me, my deputy is saying to me, like, and I thought, automatically wipe your nose, thinking it's like the wipe. And it was like the wipes were coming back on, the clay mark.
Oh my God.
So I woke up there, and it was only when I looked down and my phone was there. The phone reflects, and I thought, so I had just started saying, thank you, gentlemen. We start the meeting. I hope you had a nice drink, coffee, tea, snacks over there. And I looked down, and I said, would you just wait a minute? I just left my notes. I said, I'll be back in a few minutes. Rushed to the loo. Go back 10 minutes late, and they were like, and my boss said, what was that white stuff? Face powder. I said, yeah. So get on the meeting. And afterwards, he was talking to some of the CEOs, and he made this comment, and I thought it was an insult, saying, Avinash could sell the ice to the Eskimo. So I was like really livid. I didn't ask him at that time. And I came home, after in the evening, and I said to my father, I'm going to have a word with that, I said, I think he was saying, that's a compliment. Why would the Eskimo want to buy ice, when the ice is already there? Okay. So sometimes, when you're angry or when you're upset or you made a mistake, you can't think straight. So I think for me, I would say to any of our colleagues, any women and women all over the world, don't let anybody stop you. If you have a belief here and your heart tells you you can succeed in something, go for it, persist, passion. Mainly I tell people when I do workshops, only go into business really that you either have knowledge of, like a hobby or something, because if you don't make money, then it doesn't eat at you, because you're going to do that. Yeah. And the plus sign is, if it starts to make money, people can see that. I mean, I'm sure when we meet people, we are attracted to people who are happy and positive. We want to work with them. But when we find somebody who, I got this project, we don't want to do it. Yeah. And we get, if they're not that keen on that project, why should we invest into that project?
Yes.
And I've been told all my life, like I said, when I went to the BHI, which was the first business I actually started, in the sense, which was when mentally I couldn't do anything. So I knew I could use my management skills also, because I couldn't read myself, and I was too ashamed to admit. And my boss, because I was on sick leave, was sending me paper after paper saying, Avinash can read it and send me, because I was into the habit of doing things for them and so on. But I couldn't, So the more I looked at it, the more frustrated I got, and the more took me with the physical element. So I actually prayed, and I said, okay, you created this situation for me, God. Now you give me a way out. I have 2 young, and I don't want to, Jessica, we say, I don't want to put my hand out for somebody else to give me something.
Yes, I can understand. Yeah.
So, and मैं हाथ नहीं किसी दिन मोड़े. So it's
obviously, because somebody who has faced every possible situation before, where you have brought up your children on your own and so many hurdles you have faced, at this stage of life, you wouldn't want anybody to pity you and look at you and I feel sorry for you. So that pride that I have been on my own, it must be really hurting to face a situation.
And the other thing is, along here, people had still so say, people had given me a title, my staff, my charity people, Superwoman, Wonder Woman, that kind of title. So if you don't have those titles, then you don't feel, you feel asking. But then people always say to you, it's like when we had this lockdown, I had so many of my colleagues and, my clients saying, how are you going to cope? You never sit still 1 minute. How are you going to cope? It's good. I tell you something. This has been a godsend for me, because I'm guilty now. I do, like normally you get out of the bed, as you know, Dr. Chennai, you get out of the bed because you've got to look after the children, the husband, the house, work, and you rush out. You literally give yourself 4 minutes to have that cup of tea, all right? And like ground yourself, and then you're on the go. This one has given me a chance to I didn't feel, the first day I did, I thought, should be doing something. Second day, I thought, forget it. Third day, I was enjoying myself, reading a book, enjoying and catching on, and looking at different ways I can, do things. We were still doing charity work. We were still going out, giving food to people, helping, raising funds, whether online or, through contacts for the scrubs, because in England, I don't know if it happened in India or in the other parts of the world, but we had run out of, the PPIs for the, for the hospitals, the safety uniforms. So we were trying to raise, help in any way we can. And so for me, a lot of the time people say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I said, and I have people, women and men coming to me say, oh, I had this wonderful idea. People said, you couldn't do it. The first question I asked, are you passionate about it? So do you think if they didn't like it, is there any way you can go directly and start it up? Because when I started the BHI, I had no money, I'll be honest. Mm-hmm. I lost my job, I saw a house for sale, my first one. Mm-hmm. But like I said, if you ask enough, somebody comes along. So I was able to get a loan for that property. Oh, very good. And I tell you something, that property kind of jumpstart everything else. And wow. And I'm grateful to people. And
that's really courageous of you that you had a very stable job and you're used to getting a good monthly salary, and
yes,
of every month you're getting it. And from that to jump into a business where you don't know whether irrespective of how much effort you put in, you don't know whether at the end of the month enough money will come for you. So what gave you that idea that you can take that leap of faith and do this?
Because my uncles, my mom's side of the family, like they weren't overeducated, but they had the brains. They were like my mom. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they were into property. So I thought, because I used to kind of translate, and my father tried, but he didn't make that money because he was thinking too much and so on. Okay. My uncles used to tease that. We used to hear that, Master J, they used to call my father, Master. They said, Master G, you know how to make money. So I thought, well, I have half your genes, half my father's genes, kind of thing. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to show them. If you're putting my father down, I will show you. And this was what I asked, even I managed to find builders myself. In that sense, it was good because I was at the job center. I was, and so I was able to get, workers from there. So I said, okay, you can do this. And the first project, I think they knew I was a woman, didn't have an idea about anything. But that's where my mom, I used to my father was like, no, why? You already don't have the money. What's going to happen? And in my mother to that extent, look, she's buying a house and it's run down. And, she doesn't realize how difficult the property business is. And my mother was like, oh, beta, whatever money you have, don't spend it because now you're, going to be unemployed. And I went, no, but I had already signed the papers. I can't go back, Mom. So she went, okay, go for it. And the first thing, because my father said this, I'm one of those people that, for me, I think the encouragement, if people say, maybe because I've been raised in this country where we are always told, you can't go to the next stage because of the color of our skin. Yes, there was racism, there was prejudice. But for us Asians, I think in the whole, we used it as a jump start. You tell us we can't do something, we will prove it, we can do it.
I can definitely relate to that.
That's the difference between us. Instead of stopping us, it gives us that drive, So I thought my father thinks I'm going to fail, and I thought I will just, and because of that time, that part of brain wasn't being overactive. So I just went in, and if the builder was doing something, I stood with him after dropping my kids off at school and everything, I would stand with him. And then I learned to know when they were skiving off and trying to charge me. I said, well, I'm here. So I would take a thermos of tea for them and myself and some biscuits. And I sit with them. I said, okay, buddy, show me what you're doing. Well, Martin showed me. I had Indian builders, Pakistani, Caribbean and Polish who started. So I was like, show me, what are you doing? Let me see if I can.
Let me ask you something here. See, you went into construction business. which is predominantly male oriented, even irrespective of which country you're talking about, it's predominantly. So,
Yeah.
and that too, you're dealing with Asian community who already have a very set mindset about what a woman should do, what her place is. In that
Yes.
situation,
Yes.
what one gave you the courage to get into that, and how difficult or how easy it was for you to get the work done by them, because they have to respect you to do the work for you.
That's right.
So how
I
did you
think
make that?
okay. I think I started with a carrot. You say, be nice first. But
Okay.
I think life now teaches us sometimes if you're too nice, people think you muggles.
You just,
Yeah. Or you're easy,
Hmm.
pagal, like,
They think she's not capable, so we
yes,
can take her for
yes.
a ride.
But I might, because my nature is like always do it with a nice thing, because maybe that I got learned. And plus, like I said, my first job at the age of 16 was working with a team of sales reps. And if you ever
Oh
were
my God.
sales oriented, and by the time I was 19, I was running the office, and I had all of this over 50 sales reps who were mainly white men,
Oh,
highly,
okay.
and they respected me because I wouldn't
Incredible.
back down. Even
Incredible.
when they tried to bully me to give them an extra commission, I said, no, you did not reach that. That's the cutoff. So I think that gave me that. And plus, because when I went into it, I did the carrot, the same, hello, can you do this? And pay their money on time, no arguments. And because I thought, well, they have families, or they have to pay their. But then some of them started, like you said, would take advantage. Oh,
Yeah.
Indian woman.
Yeah, there's
There was, and this came,
what can she do?
yes, and this actually came from the Asian builders rather than the
That's
Nali.
precisely why I thought asked, because you said you had
Uh,
Pakistanis and Bangladeshis and working
yeah,
with you. So that's
yes,
why I was asking,
and,
because the
yeah,
Asian mindset is like that.
yes,
Because even
and
as an
so
entrepreneur myself, I face that very often.
yes, and so when they said, and I heard them one day, I went in. This was my third property, I would say, and I went there and I heard, the one that was meant to be in charge of them, like I employed this builder, he had his laborers, so I had contacts. And I saw him, I walked in and they thought I was, by then I had started my Ishkama company as well, because by then my mind was getting better now. And so I thought I want to give something back. And at that, they were bringing this mental health figures had gone up. So I wanted to bring that to the forefront as well. So I had gone for a meeting. I told them, look, I won't be back till this evening. Any problems, give me a call on my mobile. I walked in and they were going to actually do a bad job. Well, a cheap job, save on the material, use that same material where they charge something. I walked in and I changed my shoes into slippers, kind of soft one. So I walked in and everything is open because the whole building is being done. And laying the foundation, the floor. All right. And so there was two of the Polish people that I had personally employed to do the gardens. So I thought we can finish the job together so I can rent it as soon as possible. And those Polish people had rang me saying, how far are you? They called me Abby. How far are you? Can you come there, putting the floor, and it shouldn't be done at the moment because they haven't left. So luckily my meeting had finished early and I was going to then go shopping. So I just got in the car, came straight home. So they're my Indian builders and I'm Punjabi, like I said, I can, and they're going, and even the laborer, one of them saying, look, she's so nice to us. She gives us food, she gives us tea, she leaves every day, even in the hot days, she leaves drinks there. It's not a nice thing to do to somebody like that, and God is one, and he's the guy I'd put in charge. He said, don't worry. And he said, you're taking that material, we shouldn't. He was taking it because one of the neighbors had asked him to do some small job. So he had charged him, including the material, but he was going to use my material. So he was skimming material.
Oh my God.
So I walked in and I stood there listening for 5 minutes and just around the corner. And they're having their break, their tea. And I said to him, so after they finished, I said, would you pack everything up? Leave. He said, what do you mean? I said, this is how you done it? I called Martin and Mario, who were the Polish guys. I said, can you just come up there, bring those big, rods? And I said, I want they had done half of it. So I said, I want to see if this is solid, if they had put the rubble and everything. It hadn't, so that means in 2 months' time, 3 months' time, they would have thought it's finished. We would have to redo everything. So I said, pack up everything. If you don't, I said, I will these guys, because the Polish guys actually, by then, because I had treated them the same, they filled, in fact, to this day, one of them is like my brother kind of thing. And
very good.
Emergency, but he has his own big company, he doesn't work around here. But
so you still do construction work?
Yes, yeah. So he's gone very high up. And because I took a side track, went to hear them. So it's like, because of how I treated them, he has due respect to me, all right, both of them. And so I said, pack up and go. Then the other two, and I said, I'm ashamed of you. You're the same people as me. I said, you're from the same, color as me, and you're doing this, And because of that, Dr. Chitan, we actually, we had respect. We had built up that business. And so he actually did finish the job in the end. And he came back and apologized. So said, see, now I'm going to put those people over you. They will check each and every one of yours. But I said, I will not employ you again, which I didn't. Right. And every time, because you see, even with builders, their reputation counts, and this is why the other builders who were fair and did, because everybody knew that if a Vinash employs them, they're good. So their work went higher. And this guy, whenever he doesn't get a job, he still rings me. He's gone back to being a laborer. So see, it's what goes around comes around, Yes. That's what they say.
Tell me something. Okay, you finish your sentence.
And them, I would say, anybody listening, I would say to them, then when I started Kia, I went to, I joined the Chamber of Business, all these big organizations. And I had people coming when I started Kia, because by then I thought, well, I got the right staff. People want this service because it's affordable. It was, and because it was mainly aimed at that time with the elderly, with people who, I didn't want to say people who couldn't afford it. Let's say people who I thought couldn't afford it, but didn't feel guilty joining us because it was reasonably priced, which were young mothers, single mothers, even people, sometimes we work in offices, people think we got big salaries coming in. But
we wouldn't spend it on ourselves.
So we don't have that money. So it doesn't matter when I became a single mom, I had 2 outfits, would you believe it? I kept for business. As soon as I wore them for the office, I would literally come home, put my tracksuit or my salwar kameez and go into the kitchen, so I could wear it, hang it up there. So, and I think sometimes people like to give appearance, but then you find once you get to know it that, not everything is. So I didn't want people to feel, they have to show me something that they, so I just have said, this is a service, you get, and everybody gets,
And how long since you have been running that?
My father died in 2010, so I opened this in the Kia Beauty. And and then
it's been 10 years now.
Yeah, and then I want to go into a big retailer, and when people say, oh no, big retailer won't let you in, because they're not interested. And every professional business advisor told me, Hans, I was with the business chambers, different organizations, and they also, no, you have to have this bid, you have to do. And I thought, I used that persistence of being like my mother's, or just go there, tell them you want to have this, why it will help you, because obviously if you're going into something, you want to know, the other side wants to know why they should partner with you. So I told them, if I don't improve your clientele, which is you get, for your business, by this much, and if you feel that, I can guarantee that if you give me this lot, I can guarantee that you will have more clients yourself. And I said, if not, I will refund you. I will give you the money. And so, and I thought this, and I said, you don't lose anything. I'm the one that's investing,
You
and I
have
think
done
that's
so
what.
many things. You
Yeah.
tell me you have done so many things, like, from being a counselor to you started having your own business. Are you happy and say, look, I have done enough, or still there are things in the bucket list you said you want to do? Or it's like, finally, I have done everything which I wanted to.
My passion, I made a promise to my grandson, my eldest grandson. He, and because one day he was saying, we had stayed in a hotel, a very big, nice hotel. His mother paid for it, actually. It was a birthday treat. And he said, Nanny G, he said, we should get a hotel. And we were like riding a bicycle, this country lane. I said, would you like me to get you one? He said, yes. He said, if you get me one, then he said, what about, I had, my younger daughter has. He said, what about Ajjan, And I said, okay. So now I have a little granddaughter. She's a year old. So I actually a hotel name. All right.
Oh,
because so that is
you are amazing. Like, so much of courage. Like, I wouldn't even dream of getting into hotel business. That's like beyond my comprehension. And here you are, who been.
No, because I was thinking, because my eldest grandson is called Joshua. My grandson is called Ajjan, A-J-A. And funny enough, my little granddaughter is called Cecilia. So that my grandson said, so we were talking one day. And so I thought, okay, we call it the Jack Hotel, it's like, the initials. So I'm looking for something. And then, because like I told you, I'm a great believer in God. And I'm thinking, you see, if it carried on, because at the moment I'm going through something very personal, and which is taking 80% of my time. And, we've been, and I think, okay, maybe the God stopped the world so I can fulfill my promise to my grant. Because if I give to someone, and that's where I have, ever since I was a child, even in business, in my charity work, people always say, if you get Avinash to promise something, there's no way she will let us fail. But even if you get her to say, okay, I see what I can do, she will still fulfill it. And I can't get away from that repetition, even to this age. Okay. So I thought, now given, and I'm thinking I won't promise anything else. But my other thing is, because I am, I do care about, and the other thing is with the beauty for my staff, my managers, I have two wonderful managers. And they've been looking at ways how we can, get some face creams and, and all these products for the things, and get them marketed under the Kia umbrella. So we can, we met somebody in, when I was there from my other convention, we met somebody in Estonia who have, and they tried their creams, which is nice. But we are in talks to see if they can do it, because I don't want it, too expensive. I want good quality stuff that every woman, just like with the Care Beauty, we are half price. And then because of this lockdown, people have been saying, but other salons are doing it. Why can't we do our facial treatment? But in this country at the moment, the government has said we cannot do facial things, eyebrows, till the 1st of August. So, I said, no, I'd rather abide by the law and do what is right, because it's for our own safety, not for government. So I said, if other salons are doing, do it, but I will only go. And that's where my policy has always been. And I think that's why I succeeded. Like we said, you have, for success, you have to passion, purpose, patience, and above all, persistence. Waiting a week more.
See, you have been doing so many things, and what if I see is throughout your career, the whole focus has always been helping others.
Yeah.
Whether you're counseling or you're doing your beauty salon, and it's always about others and say, how do I help others? So
Yeah.
now this post this pandemic, now we are seeing, the world has
Yeah.
suffered enough, and this is something none of us ever anticipated, and the kind of
Yes.
calamity it has brought, and so many
Yes.
people have lost job. Do you
Yes.
see that your job has increased now? There's so many more people now who needs help, so your work actually
Yes.
has increased manifold. You see it
Good.
that way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I do. And I do. And this is why I used to have a charity before, when I first, the Ishkama Trust, Ishkama, the business of Ishkama Trust, where we were helping people with mental health, other issues. And so because I was so busy with my other charity work, and I've been involved with that for 10 years, because I thought with my own charity, I had my own counselors, my own therapists, and we offered free treatments, really. So then when my father became ill, he became terminally ill unexpectedly, and with cancer. And so I wanted to nurse him because because he was a refugee. He was originally from Lahore, and then the Hindus and Sikhs came, into the Indian part. And my father was very proud, and I think they had suffered because I remember once when we were younger, he told me his history that all the Indians from the Pakistan had to end up in Delhi in refugee camps.
Yeah.
And I think they suffered quite badly, but he never talked about that
Sure.
much, except once, and to me. And I think, and he didn't find it easy to accept help. And maybe I'm a bit like that as well. I like to give help, no. So it was for that purpose, when my father became ill, I didn't want anybody else to take care of him. So I passed my work on to my staff, and let them handle it. And then every 3 years I give my service to other organizations as well, other charity organizations. So normally there's quite a few asking you to join because they think you can take them up to the next level. And one of the charities at that time was an international charity called Lions Clubs International. I don't know if you heard of it. And they were asking. So I said at that time it was the right place for me to join, But my father, he said, look, you can't sit still. He said, I wouldn't know what you do, he was given a month to live. He survived 5.5 years. And only out of the 3 months, he was actually bedridden, And my younger daughter, who's a GP, a doctor, actually said to him, see, Nanaji, you got to, because we know that when people are not well, the mind we have percentage, 10% of our brain we know. We don't know the rest, right?
Yes,
so, and, and my belief was that if you keep a person happy, positive, they're more likely to overcome their pain. I still hadn't given up on him, and even when I was told he had spread to his spine. So my daughter used to make him laugh by saying, Nanaji, you're so lucky. The same thing that Playman, the Play magazine, he's paying people to get the treatment here. You're getting a free, you got a personalized healer, you got a personalized counselor, personalized, doctor. She said, and cleaner, cook, anything, star cook. So Dad used to laugh about it. And because we made it, he was at home, his friends were able to come. If you're in the hospital, you cannot.
That too many restrictions will be there.
Yeah. So for me, that was a joy. And so when I would come from a meeting, he would be waiting up. So what did you do today? Did you cause any problems today? Or did you sort anything? So it was like, he survived. And then soon after that, Mom had heart problems and she had a brain. She passed away 3.5 years ago. So now I'm thinking start and let's go, because I think now there is more need, not just in the UK or in the West, but India as well. So I have had some other NGOs from India sort of saying, to be honest, Dr. Chetan, my first point was that because I've been in the UK too long, I thought if I come, because I want to help, if I'm with to come to India, like I've been asked to come and do some workshops. I want to help actual people. You know, I'm not one of these people that goes for, you know, the higher, forget about having dinner and dance. I rather, for me, it's like when we set up this project as part of my club set up, Lions Club, my own personal club. It was called the Widow Sewing Project. All right.
Oh,
we set it up in Delhi with one of the Lions clubs there and our club, and we funded it, and then Lord Lumba here got joined and so on. And for me, you know, the greatest sign was the day that we have been going strong. They wanted to do a big opening, and we had a very international president come. I went there, and on the plane, I had changed into a very simple. I love cotton material. I don't like fancy clothes, so I'm a very, how can I say, very common person in that sense. I like something that makes me comfortable. I don't care if people think, you know, it's not. And so I had changed into a cotton thing because I had just flown, left my mum in Amritsar because we had taken my dad's ashes. We had just gone because to sort out my dad's thing. So I literally got to Amritsar, dropped my mother off at a friend's house, flew back into Delhi to attend this meeting. And on the flight, I changed because I was getting sweaty and I was one thing we don't like is sweaty. Yeah. So I changed into another cotton dress on the plane in the loo. And it's because I knew there was people waiting to pick me up, to take me to the meeting. And I walked there, all these girls are saying, you know, young girls, young widows, saying, is this ma'am from United Kingdom? She's just like us. For me, that is the biggest compliment, you know, to be that I'm one of you, you know, for whichever organization I'm working with, you know. And when I found, and then I mingled with them, I talked to them, and they were saying, you sure? Because they didn't expect somebody who had come, because I was like the president from London Central, to come down, and they didn't expect I would mingle with each and every one of them. But I made sure I met each of the widows, each of the single mothers. And when it came down to have the dinner and with the hierarchy, I said, no, I said, now I have to fly back because my flight is booked. But I said, it's lovely. I said, I came here. And to this day, to be honest, till last year, I was being told, a lot of those women remember that the man from India that came, she was not fancy, but she made them feel.
Very good.
Was what meant
Avinash, if you ever come to India, please let me know. I would like to meet you.
I love to meet. And the same applies to you. If you come to the UK, you come.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because you are such an inspiration that more women should meet you, because we all face different kind of challenges throughout the life. And every time we face this, we feel like, I'm not capable of handling this. I don't think this is, and I can't handle it anymore. But when you see somebody like you and you listen to somebody like you, feel like, I can also do it. I'm like her. I can also do that. So you give
everybody can do
it. Give that. That is what I want people to take from this meeting today. And I want to meet you, and I would like to work with you if possible in some way.
I'd love to. Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I work in the field of renewable energy. I convert organic waste into bio-CNG. And even though I'm based in Bangalore,
Oh, I tell you what, you are maybe the right person, because we're trying. You have my email, don't you?
I get it. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I have your email. Yes, I have.
Because we are at one of the projects for the charity I'm trying to set for the mental health, which is a charity that's kind of backed by the future king and queen of this country. Well, not Charles, but his son. All right, William and Kate. It's mental health, which is young children. It's children's mental health search. When I'm involved with, we're actually looking at trying to make bags, shopping bag. I'll send you a picture I did.
Okay.
That somebody said to me, it was like a plaster, but we want to do it from recycled,
Okay.
So environment friendly, so we can fill both the criteria here, and and I'll send it to you because we've been trying to design them, and then I know I can get the big retailers to sort of say, look, you can also take this.
Definitely. It will be an honor to work
Yeah,
with
we
you.
were meant to meet today.
And we have way past the time which we are supposed
Oh,
to.
thank you. Thank
So
you.
I really enjoyed it. I wish I could
I
go on for
enjoyed
some
it.
more time. I would
Yeah.
definitely would like to connect with you offline
Yeah, please.
and see
Yeah.
in what way, because I have a factory in Ludhiana. So I do keep going to Punjab
Okay.
very, very often. I have one factory in
All right.
Bangalore and another one in Ludhiana. So I
No
would,
problem. And yeah, and please do contact,
I will definitely do.
Yeah. And I get my
thanks a
managers
lot.
on. Thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
much, Dr.
And I
Titi.
really hope and pray that God gives you a long, healthy life and gives you, allows you to fulfill all your dreams that you can ever think of.
Thank you.
And
Same to you.
Thank
And
you.
you're such a, because that's why I always think we are meant to be those that we're like-minded. Thank you.
I agree with that. And as a token of our appreciation on behalf of World Economic Forum, we would like to confer an award, Iconic Woman Creating a Better World for All. We will be conferring that award on you, and we'll be sending it to you in a couple of weeks to you.
No problem. Thank you, Dr. Chetan. Thank you. Please
Wonderful
do get back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely meeting you. Bye.
Yeah, lovely meeting you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.